Hello and welcome everyone. I hope you're all having a great day. It is Tuesday, March 13th, and we are here at Dev Chatter, and we are going to continue working on our chatbot today. That is one that connects to Twitch, and I don't think, so I'm not planning on connecting to Discord today. Although now that we have a Discord set up, we could do that. Very likely what we're going to work on today, at least what my plan is, sorry about that, is to make it so that we are using text replacements in our chatbot. So for any of you that have been paying attention to our GitHub account, you may have noticed that I did add a few issues up on our GitHub so that we have some items that people can identify and be able to work on. That is going to include me. I'm going to try to put the items that I intend to work on here as well. So if someone does get to them before me, that is totally okay. Obviously, I'd recommend against doing it while we're on stream. Hey, Alliance stole my bike. Welcome. Obviously, if I'm on stream and working on something, you know that we're going to be working on it at the same time, so we're going to have a merge conflict. But if I'm not here, just go ahead and put a comment on here saying you're working on it. I don't think that anybody else would be able to assign it to themselves, but you could at least mention here that you are interested in working on it. And obviously, we may still have to get to it on stream if you haven't sent us a pull request at some point, just because we do want to keep this moving so that it is interesting. So I mentioned that I'd put a few issues on here, so I just tossed some in here. Wanted to get a couple of things that were easy as good starting points for people if someone did want to add something in, and then also a handful of items that we do want to work on. There's obviously a lot more things in here that we'd like to do eventually, but got to start the list somewhere. So this is what we're going to work on today. I actually intend for us to work on the first item, so the one at the bottom of the list here, which is changing it so that we're using a text replacement strategy instead of what we put in right now, which was just a quick way of making functions work. I would like to get it so that we're a little nicer about this. And I think I created a second task that is related to these. Did I put it in here? Connect to Discord, clean up dependency injection, error logging. No, I didn't. Okay, so the beginning piece that I want to do with these issues, with this issue for replacement tokens, is that I want them to be very simple for the first ones. So the first one, I want it to be essentially a straight replacement of data that we already get from our event arguments, most likely from whatever chat service we're connected to. And actually, I just said chat service. I'm trying to use the word chat system, and the reason why is because of how overloaded the domain term service, the word service is within the software development industry. So I don't want to hit on the word service just so we avoid that problem. So if I can keep it out of our domain, we won't be overloading that word. So that's one of my goals. We'll see how well I stick with it. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at what our code looks like today. So I want to talk about a couple of things that I did earlier today off stream. I essentially did just some moving around of files, so it would actually be defined as refactoring. So keep in mind, in coding, when you're refactoring, you shouldn't really be making changes that are functionally different. Otherwise, you're really changing the features. Refactoring should be things like renaming and such. And you could even go down to like extraction of method being a refactoring, because you didn't change the actual behavior of the code. So that's the simple type of change that I did today, and I will go ahead and bring those up so that you guys can see what I was actually doing. I did it as a couple of pull requests that we can take a look at. I'll just run through the list here of the basic things that we did. So we had an item that was called the simple response message, and I changed it to simple command. And the reason I changed that is that while it is a response message that we send back, really what we've got here is a command that happens to just do a simple response as part of the behavior. So really I was thinking it makes more sense, and it's a little simpler to refer to this as a command, because we're going to likely get other types of commands as well that don't just have a simple response. And so I think it makes more sense to have all these as under the command flag instead of having them deal with the fact that they send a message. That seems more like a byproduct of what they are. So that's the change we made there. The other things we did, some I just moved some items around. Wait, that was weird. Oh, okay, there we go. That was strange, I'm not sure what it did there. But won't worry about it, because it seems like everything's fine. Okay, so the other things were basically just moving items around. You'll notice move, rearrange, move, rearrange. And I also do want to mention one thing. This is a small one, but I did rename our iCommand message to an iBot command, following the same line of thinking with the simple command, that I thought it made more sense to treat this as a command than as a message. So that's the change we made there. Okay, so let's take a look at that issue again. Actually, I just pulled it off screen, but we're going to take a look at what we want to do. So the basic thing today, what I did is basically hard code a number of these, and I'm actually cheating and taking advantage of some things in EF Core that are allowing us to do this. I'm amazed no one has asked me the question of how our functions work, and I really didn't want to answer that one because it wasn't going to work long term. But we are going to do the fix here, and you guys will probably see what I was doing, and I hope someone realizes the insanity of what we were doing before, just because it was fun. But what we're going to do now is do a sort of token replacement. So I want to set up the simple tokens first. So essentially I want our command to look like, essentially, right now we look for a command word. In this case it would be something like SO, and then it's going to receive a bunch of arguments. So I want the simple response that our simple command has to include some kind of a token. Now this token structure, hilariously, is one that I actually used a long time ago. But is now used by some modern systems, the double curly brace trick. But I still like it, and we can easily change what we're using for those tokens. So for now I plan on using double curly brace. If someone really wants to yell at me, we can, and you can suggest whatever other token you'd like to use. So anyway, getting started here, the items that we want to do. So I am going to pull up a new class, and I'm going to put it inside of a folder for now, because I am thinking, call me crazy here, that we should have a tokens folder. Because we're going to have more than one type of token. So I talked to you about the fact that we want a simple replacement, and this simple replacement is going to use the event args that we're already receiving. So right now, when we do a simple command, we get the information like the command word that was used, the user who issued the command, and we also get the arguments that were passed in with it. So when we do a simple response, I think it makes a lot of sense to just do token replacements on that. And then for some of the more complicated ones, where we trigger other events and other options based on those, and maybe even have timing things happening after the fact, I think that could be useful. So let's go ahead and start with tokens, and actually I kind of think this should go into messaging, because I mentioned that our object is a command, but the response we give is definitely a message. So let's go ahead and put tokens inside of messaging. And call me crazy if any of this stuff sounds nuts to you guys, because I'm just sort of thinking it through. So we're going to do a simple token. Now, something I had mentioned on stream previously is the idea that you can have an object that sort of blurs the line between an object and an enum. So I'm actually going to follow that structure for this, I think. Because I kind of feel like our token replacement is almost enum-like, because we might want to access them by, referencing a specific value. So I'm thinking for a lot of these replacements, so things like our basic commands, the simple commands that we're going to do, where you basically have a command word and a simple response that does replacement tokens, we don't really need the enum structure. But I am expecting that we're going to need some of these replacements in some more advanced setups. Now, we could do those with token replacements, but I really feel like it's nicer in code to not be using strings and token replacements when you're creating it in code, so we'll see. Maybe we end up liking the other approach better. Not a huge deal if we do. So, okay. Let's go ahead and do that then. So, the first trick to making this work is that you need a private or a protected constructor. I'm figuring we're probably going to have something that inherits from our simple token, so I'm going to go ahead and make it protected for now. So we'll make our protected constructor. Now, I want to put the fields down below it, and you'll see, and so normally I would put fields and properties above the constructor, but I want to put them down below in this case, and I think you'll see why in a minute. So what we're going to do is we want to obviously have the actual replacement token itself. So I am going to create a private string for the, actually private read-only string, for the replacement string. So that's going to be the string that we're doing the replacing on, and I want to initialize that from the constructor. Okay, now we need a public way of accessing this, I think. I'm thinking public for now, but it could be that it ends up inside of this, that we do our method to actually do the replacement on a string. Haven't decided yet. But let's go ahead and make this a public string replacement token. And I want this to be a property, but I'm expecting that this is going to be a property that just uses that backing field. And now the reason I'm using a backing field is that I don't want everybody else to have to give us the double curly braces. And for this, I think it makes sense to do a... it's hilarious. I teach classes on this, and my brain won't come up with the word. An expression-bodied property, that's the one. So we're going to do an expression-bodied member. So what we're going to be doing, Greendolf, is we are going to use these replacement tokens instead of the code that we've been using before. Where right now what we're doing is we're doing a little bit of cheating with some functions and a little bit of magic, and sort of making accessing the event arguments that are being passed to us when a command is triggered on the bot. But we're going to change it to do a simple text replacement now, which is going to make it easier for our commands to become data inside of our system. So that's essentially what we're doing right now. So the expression-bodied property that we're going to do basically means instead of doing a getter like this and having a return value like this structure, instead what we can do is we can actually get the same result by just writing this and then saying, putting our value right here. And what is actually going to happen when we do this is C# is actually creating a property behind the scenes and assigning it into replacement token. And because we're just doing essentially our little arrow, our little fat arrow here that we use for lambda expressions in C#, is going to tell the compiler, hey, we're doing an expression-bodied property here. If we were to put parens on this, then we would be doing an expression-bodied method, but this just makes it so we're setting up the getter. There is actually syntax for doing this same type of thing with a setter as well, but we only need a get-only property here because we're setting our backing field. So what we're going to do is do string interpolation of this. So what's going to get weird here is that in order to get our curly braces, because we're doing double curly braces and I'm doing it in string interpolation, I actually have to put a set of 3 curly braces, which, yes, I know it looks hilarious, so get your laughs out now. And then we put our replacement string inside there. So that gives us our replacement token. So if later on we decide that our replacement tokens should be square braces, then we can just do that on the token instead of having to change every instance of the simple token that we're using everywhere. So that's the idea. Okay, so at this point you should probably be wondering, okay, you made this protected, so where are we actually putting these replacement tokens? Well, since the tokens themselves need to have some idea of the underlying data in the system, this piece doesn't feel like it should be getting stored in the database necessarily. That's not to say that we couldn't eventually have some token replacement that's in the database, but this part seems like it's going to not follow that path. So I am going to create a few of these. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, we said we needed the username, we need the command, and we need a couple of arguments. So actually I'm going to get myself a couple more lines. And I'll remove any that I don't need. So I want to make, oops, not private, public, there we go, static, yes, public static, simple token, and this is going to be name of token equals new simple token. And the constructor is going to have a string replacement, which in this case is going to be the name of and name of token. Oops, token. And then the next parameter is an interesting one. And I haven't set this in the constructor yet, but I know what it's going to be. So the thing that was consistent about all of these is that we always had access to event arguments. So remember, the ones we want to have are the user display name, the command name, and the list of arguments. So I gave myself a few extra lines here just so we could do a few lists of arguments. So essentially E at this point is going to be one of those event args. And we want to say E.something and .something.something, and that'll get us our value. So we were doing this as part of a function before. We're still going to do it here, except now it's going to be part of this class structure and not a part of the data. So that's basically what we want to set up here. These ones we know are going to be the same, and they're going to access the arguments collection. Okay, so this one we said was going to be user display name. So we're going to do user display name there. And then this one we said was going to be command word. So this will let us replace whatever the command word was. And then this set is actually going to be args. So we're going to say args 0. And actually, I don't think we're going to need that many arguments. So I'm going to limit us down to just these. And then this will be args. And actually, I'm not sure it's going to be args. I think it's just going to be arg. Because it is a single argument for each one of these. Right? I think that probably makes sense. Okay, so the next thing we need is we're passing in a function that we want it to return a string. So that's what this second argument is. It is a function. Now the input parameters first. So we want to say this is command. Actually, I'm just going to type event args and it should find ours, right? Command received event args. There it is at the bottom of the list. I think that's the one we want because it came from our namespace. So we want a function that takes in the command received event args and returns back a string. So we want to pull some string value off of that, and I want to call this the replacement value selector. It's kind of a long name, but that is what we're pulling on it. So that gets us that. And actually, I made that a field, but I think we actually want to make it a property. I'm actually going to move it down here. So we're going to make this a property that others can use. Can we make read-only property here? By that I mean, wait, yeah, if we give them a setter, then they can't. Yeah, okay, that works. So we'll make it a property here, give them this, and then, because we got rid of our setter, so interestingly, in C#, if you don't include the setter, you can still assign it here from the constructor, so it treats it as read-only. Okay, so this gets us access to the value. We can run this basically like a function now. So that's why I wanted to have it be public. So anybody that has one of these tokens can just call the replacement value selector on it to get the value. Okay, so we did this .arguments, and okay, good. It did figure out that this is a collection. So, what we want to do is do an element at or default. Whoops. Element at or default. Pass in the index. Right? Now the reason we want to do this is we don't know, this is an enumerable, we don't know, sorry, a list, we don't know how many items are actually going to be in that arguments list, and we don't want to throw an index out of range exception just because that didn't have the item we wanted. So this will give us back a null, I think, if we don't have it, and then we should be able to do the null coalescing operator and get us a string, because we want to make sure that if someone is depending on this being a string, we're getting our replacement value of nothing. And we can decide if we want the argument to have a different default and put that in there. So for this one, chat user display name, that's easy, and command word. So we had those directly on the event object, so that was pretty easy. Yeah. So simple token does replacement, and you know what? We made this a public thing, but I actually kind of want to make a different method. So I'm going to make this a private field instead. What do you guys think about that? Anybody have an opinion on how we set this up? Does this look crazy to any of you guys? If it does, let me know. So we're going to do a public string, and we're going to call this, I don't want to call it, so I don't want to alter the string that they gave us because that really doesn't make sense in C#, but I do want to return back a string that they used here. So let's see, replace you know what, I'm just going to call it do thing for now because I'm not sure what this is yet, and then I can think about it. So I'm going to call that the input text, and essentially I just want to do input text dot replace, returns a new string in which all occurrences of the specified Unicode character, returns a new string in which all occurrences of the specified string. There we go. So the old value is replacement token, and the new value is the underscore replacement value selector, receiving the new command arguments right there. And you're saying, what? Why new command arguments? Well, I'm going to throw that value out anyway. So I'm going to refactor that as a parameter, because that's what we need to do here. So perform simple, perform command received replacement. Okay. So I think at this point what we're going to know is that we have a matching replacement token, and so we're going to know that we can do a replacement on this, so we're just going to do the work whether we need to or not. Replace, of course, does a I'm actually going to call this replace command arguments, or replace command values. That's command received event, so these are the command values. Seems simple enough. Replacement token feels like an item that we're going to want to compare against. These items feel like they could be private because they're only used here, although maybe I should make them protected just in case. Protected. Okay. And then this is the public method that is used to call them. Okay. So I think this is going to work, but I do want to do a little bit of testing on this. And I didn't do it in advance because I kind of wanted to show you guys the structure because I think it's kind of cool. And I thought it'd be more interesting to show you the structure first and then actually get into doing this. So let's go ahead and use it now. We put this inside of messaging, which we didn't make a messaging folder, so I'm going to go ahead and make one here. So we're going to make messaging, and I'm going to move those other ones in here as a separate commit. Because I haven't committed this, I don't want to move them in just yet, because I'd like that to be a single commit that does it. So we're going to do, actually, before we create the folder, before this we're going to make a folder for simple token tests, and then I'm going to make a class for replace command values should. And in this, we're going to have a fact that is public void test1, because I don't know what I'm going to test yet. I want to start creating it first. So simple token dot what is a good one? We'll do command word. That'll be our simple token. And I don't actually have to store that in a variable, but I like the idea of using the variable because it shows that we can. And it kind of illustrates the idea that in a lot of places we're not going to have it as that enum. The enum concept is really just for convenience because we were going to want to hard code some of these anyway because they needed to know about some of these underlying data objects, like where it is on our event args. So we have our token. We now need to take in our replacement string, So this is going to be the given input. So we'll call this the string constant string response message. Okay, so that is our response message, and maybe this is the response template. Response template. Resulting message equals that value. And then I'm going to assert equal. So we do expected and actual message. The new, what? How do you not know what that value is? Oh, I didn't mean to do replacement token. I meant to do that. No wonder it was complaining that whole time. Why didn't you guys tell me about that? Come on, guys. Alright. That was a joke, by the way. I wouldn't expect you guys to actually have pointed that one out. Stream delay meant by the time you saw it anyway, I would have already moved on. Okay, so our message in our response, what is one of the commands we do today? Because that is our goal, is replacing those so that we don't have this silly stuff at the beginning. Fake data. We have a response that uses a value in display name. We will do lurk. Lurk is a good one. So I called that command word, but we want to do lurk. No, not command word, display name. So it doesn't actually have to match that value, but we're going to say something like well, I guess we'll start off with it then. And we'll say user display name silently is now lurking. There, that's good enough. So user display name is now lurking. And the result we're expecting to get back is whatever we put in here. So why don't we make this, I don't want to have it be my name, because that's too likely in a test, so I'm going to pick someone that has talked in chat. So congratulations, Lion stole my bike. You are now immortalized. Yell at me if you don't want your name to be in here, and it won't be. Actually, I could just put in Lion, and that's less specifically you. So Lion is now lurking, is what we're expecting to get back. It's now lurking. This is not going to work because I haven't put the values in, but I'm going to run it anyway, just so that we can see it fail. And there's our failure. We have a null ref. That's fine. Wait, null ref? Wait, null ref? Really? Which one null refed? Oh yeah, chat user was null. I don't think we expect that to ever not be, but I could put in the safety, but I think it'd be crazy if chat user were ever actually null. I'll put these in here anyway, just as safeties, so those won't be null now. Okay. Let's jump back over here. So we want to fail for the right reason. It's important that we fail for the reason we expect. Okay, there we go. We failed. What we got back was empty curly braces now. Ooh, interesting. It left a curly brace in there. We might have had one too many. I want to take a look at this. See? That's why the test was important. Because otherwise, I mean, we would have found it out when we ran the code, but it's nice that we caught it in a test. Okay, so our input text is double curly brace. What is our replacement token? Single curly brace. See? So this double curly brace was not apparently enough. We need to double, so that is 4 curly braces. And 4 curly braces there. So I think I've been convinced not to use curly brace for this. That ought to be successful right there. Just, you know. I can't believe you have to, like, quad curly brace for that. Okay, good. We got blank. That's what we wanted. I will fix it. We won't be using curly braces, that's for sure. Alright. So the reason why it's failing is because we didn't actually initialize our arguments here. Now in this case, I know that the only one we actually need is chat user. So I am just going to set it up knowing the value that we actually need, and we're saying that that needs to be lion in order for this to pass. Once this does pass, I'm going to go ahead and give this test a name because we now know what it does. Because this first one, we just wanted to do the simple case, and the easiest way to do the simple case is just kind of jump in there and do it. So that's the way I like to approach these, at least, because naming it's hard. Perform simple replacement. And I'd given this thing, but I don't think we need it. I think we'll put a given on the next one. Because this really is just the simple case. Let's go ahead and change out our curly braces, because that just got absurd. So I'm going to square brace these things for now. So we're just going to look for a square brace. Let's take a look. Okay, that worked as expected. And I may need to extract out that tokenifying thing, even in my test, just to make it a little simple. Given unrelated tokens. So I just want to make sure that, you know, as we build this thing, it doesn't blow up about tokens that it doesn't care about. So I'm going to say is now action or command word. Yeah, command word. And then we're going to put ing afterwards. So the alert command, you know, we're going to pretend that we did this with, you know, there's supposed to be another replacement that happens after. So I just want to make sure that it does nothing with those and ignores irrelevant command words. Let's see if I built that right. Given unrelated tokens. Yep, okay. So I didn't expect that test to fail, but it successfully ignores that one. Let's say another test that I want to check is just that nothing weird happens when you do multiple replacements. Can do perform multiple replacements given multiple tokens. Okay, so we put in chat user here, but I also want to put in command word now. And we're going to call this command word lurk. And I'm going to simplify this because this got too long. Event args, whoops. Event Args and change it here to event Args. Okay. Now it all fits on one line, so I'm a little happier. So we did that token replacement, which actually I'm gonna inline those. Even though I said I wasn't going to previously, I'm gonna do it anyway. Just because our test got a little more complicated than I wanted it to, and I think we can get away with this. So we're gonna do a display name replace, but we're also going to do a command word replace. So instead of being called the first message, how did you write on multiple lines at the same time? Oh, so if I hold Alt and Shift, I can move up and down, and then that will actually give me multi-line select. So here, let me show you. So I can actually highlight that whole section as long as I'm holding Alt and Shift here. And so then I could make this after, you know, token replacement and do 1 and 2. Like that. Does that make sense, Magnus? So in this case, because we changed that, we should now get lion is now lurking. Yeah, it got added in 2015, I think, VS 2015. It's a nice feature if you don't know it's there. Yes, command args could be null here, but I think I handled that one. Did I? You're right. I'm not sure if we... I'm not sure if we can guarantee that that's always going to be there, so I will put the null propagation of that. So for those of you that haven't seen it, if you do a question mark and then a dot, or say a question mark and then a square brace open, that'll actually tell it to propagate that null along to the next item. So the idea is that if there isn't arguments, we don't null ref when we call this. So if this were null, we don't throw a null reference, we just continue passing that along. And the idea then is we wouldn't call this method and we would still have a null after this point, which means that our null coalescing operator here would kick in and we'll get these empty strings instead of returning back nulls. It's kind of nice. Good point, Magnus. Thank you for the suggestion. So we just ran this and it looks like it is working, but in order to actually confirm that our test is doing what we think it is, I'm actually going to remove the second one, run it again, and just make sure that our test can fail. Whoops. I'm actually going to lose the value then, because this will make it a little simpler to do. So I'm going to do resulting string on each one of these and lose our value on that second one. Although actually I really don't need to do that, do I? Think writing multiple files at the same time. Alright, there we go. Line is not looking. Yep, okay. So exactly as we expected. That failed for the reason we thought it would, so let's go ahead and put these back, make sure it passes. So we've confirmed this really can fail and it really can pass. Okay. So that is working out nicely. I want to go ahead and commit this change, even though it is not completed yet. We do have we do have a good starting point, and I think it should work. Hang on 1 second. Wait a minute. Magnus asked me a question here off stream, so sorry. Magnus, I did not see that question you asked me on Twitch. It's not showing up here. So I apologize about that. You asked, is it a good practice to keep static references to the tokens you want to define in the same class? And actually, that's the interesting structure that I was talking about at the beginning, Magnus. There is some value in that, and the reason is that for these simple tokens, we are not intending for anyone else other than this class itself to be able to create them. So we don't want these just made. So in order to do that, that means that we keep them here. So essentially we're treating these kind of like, there's sort of a cross between an enum and an object, and they're almost data-like in a sense. So it's a pretty common structure actually, and I can point you at some articles afterwards if you are still interested in it. So let me know. And I will, I guess, find some and send them to you. I do know some people that have written about it. Heck, I think I've written about it before too. But I do like the structure. Yeah, there are some good articles on it. So let me go ahead and get these committed. Hey, welcome DevXer, thank you for following. So we are adding our simple token replacements. So, whoops. I am foolish every once in a while. Token replacements. Luckily, no one saw what I just did, because I did it off screen, and that is the advantage of every once in a while doing your stupid stuff off screen, because no one catches when you made that mistake, so I can pretend like it didn't happen. So I just need to make sure I don't say anything, and you guys will never... Ah, dang it. Never mind. Whoops. So I'm going to do some horrible things here, and so you guys don't have like nothing to look at, I'm going to hop over here and let you guys actually see me type. I am going to say, go into here, open up my dev chatterbox. This is actually where I store this thing. See, look, everything's cool and good, and everything's fine. Nothing wrong. I didn't accidentally, commit to master? No, that would never happen. No one's ever done that. Alright, cool. Let me just push this branch out to... Yeah, locally I can commit to master. It was a mistake. Luckily, Git just lets me undo that. I did my commit and then I was like, wait a minute, I'm on the master branch, dang it. Because I just switched there because I pushed right before the stream started. I just forgot to create my feature branch. Fixed, though. I'm not going to send it up anywhere. You know, that actually requires a lot of effort. Oh, yeah, we don't have the... So the emotes still haven't unlocked, Magnus. I'll go ahead and give the bot a good run for you, though, so now you can send commands in, everybody. See? It says, hello world, the bot. Yeah, but it just messaged. See? There you go. Alright, so... anyway, that's all fixed. I did not... Yeah, see? Dev to fail. Exactly. The sad part is, until Twitch actually approves those, even I can't do a dev to fail. But feel free to spam that regardless, because you can. Alright, so that is that. Let's go ahead and open that back up again. So simple token replacement, this thing, gonna get rid of my breakpoint. So now we want to actually use this. So in our fake data, we did some horrible things that you guys amazingly never asked me about, because no one ever asked me. So we pulled this data. I'm going to explain a little bit about how we set this up. We actually took all this, we create these in memory, and we're actually assigning these into, as you'll see right here, an in-memory database that is used by our Entity Framework core. So what ends up happening is we sorta kinda create a database. I mean, there is one, but it's just an in-memory database that EF is using. So what this nice little cheat actually let me get away with, that no one ever argued with up until this point, we're going to get rid of it now. So no time to argue with me because it's going away, is the fact that part of the data that we're storing on these objects that, that we're using here includes a function of type event args, comma, string, and you know, that's just going in there and shoving the database, and we're not even worrying about it. So hey, why not? Now in theory, you could actually take this, walk down the expression tree, create a string out of it, and you know, store that as a string in the database, and then even probably pull it out and regenerate the expression tree based on that. But no, we're not storing functions in the database, even though I have jokingly threatened to do that in the past. And you guys told me that I was completely crazy for even suggesting allowing someone on stream to be able to add commands to the bot that included C#. Something about security? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. Okay, so in this one, we want to have display name. So I believe I changed to to square braces from our double curly brace suggestion before. So we're going to say user display name, I think is what I called it. So we want to make that work. So right now, I have broken lurk. Magnus, you are welcome to try and hack the bot. I mean, keep in mind it's open source, so you can probably slip something in there and mess with me anyway. That'll suck when I don't look at people's pull requests closely enough, but danger of open source. Please don't actually do that, though. That would really suck for me. So we want to do replacements of these. So that ought to be the first one. I think lurk is going to be the easiest, but since we went ahead and created these anyway, let's go ahead and do some of the other ones. So this one is arg0, I believe. But actually, no, I don't want to get to this one yet, because this one, our follower command is a little more complicated. So we're just going to do the display name for now, because it's easy. Actually, while we're here, I had an idea for a new command. Say and that's the reason I read every... Exactly, DevXer. Exactly. That is why you very carefully read every line of code written by someone that you don't know who they are. So the first thing, we want to say user display name. Wanted me to say no way this could possibly go wrong. And we called it arg0, so it would be bang say arg0, and then that would be the command. Okay, I think we can do that. That seems wild, but sure. Let's do that. So I think in some of our more complicated commands, we're going to use more of these values like the arg0 and arg1 in our responses to the action. and potentially even you know, other various things. So we'll see what we do with that. I just figured being able to get access to the arguments seems like a common thing that someone's going to be able to want to have when doing a command, because they might do one like this. So, and I actually might have to shorten user display name because that's a little long, but I wanted to be clear that it was the person that was doing that. So, okay, so we're going to run this, and these tokens don't get replaced yet. So what we do is, let's find our event args. So I'm going to go to this, and the reason I'm going here is that I want to see where they are used. Because they are used here. Okay. Sorry, don't username. Process this. So bot command process. Let's take a look at simple command process. Then Args triggering things. Static response selector. So this is the command that we were using. So it was inside of here. Okay. So we used to have this selector. We no longer need it on the simple command, I don't think. Let me take a look at our fake data. Was this one a simple command? No, that was a follower command. So simple commands no longer use it. So I am going to push this down from simple command down to the follower command, which still needs it. Because this is the child of the other one. So that still needs simple command. We were passing it in here, but I think this now needs to assign it here because the parent is going to lose that on its constructor. So it's no longer going to set it. It no longer needs to use it. It is only in the complicated one that we still do it. So follower command is still going to use the old structure. It's complicated and ugly, but we're going to leave follower command alone for now because it's a little more advanced than our simple command. It's the one that actually, keep in mind, is having to make a call out to an API in order to get its information. So a couple of things with that. First thing is that API is absolutely going to need to get cached because we are not going to want to call that API again if it just got called. So the list of followers is not going to change over the course of, say, a minute. So if someone calls the bot and tries to get a random selection twice, we shouldn't call the API twice. That seems ridiculous. Okay, so the static response is our text that we're going to send. That is a read-only string that we're getting in here, and we are using that value to we are applying a string format on it and actually sending it out as a result. But we don't want to do that. What we want to do is find all of the tokens in it and then grab our token list. So here's the other weird thing that I'm going to do. Now there's two ways I could do this. I could do this reflection, or I could just hard code it. For now I'm going to hard code it. So don't kill me for that. We can easily change this later. Where do I want to put it though? Let's call this public list all. So it is a list of simple tokens. We call list all. It's actually going to be a value directly on here. No. Greendolf, that's not the list of followers of the channel. That's, I should say, the list of follows. I might have misspoken there. That's how many that dev chatter is following. So unless I go around and start following everybody that same minute that we're running the command. Here, let me show you what the command is. Yeah, so if I just type SO, the bot will do a shout out. See, it did one for C# Fritz right there. And it's actually doing that based on, it'll pick a new one then. So that is who dev chatter follows. And it goes and it randomly picks someone from the list of followers. I also could just type in the actual value. So if I want to force it to choose one. So that's how that works. And then user, display name, command word, arg 0, and oops, 2 and 2 and 1. This is what I get for paying half attention to work. Yeah, it happens. But we're always writing other code while on things. I've done a number of working meetings where I'm writing code somewhere else because it's just too much work to not keep writing code. So essentially that gives us our set of values. So we can now say simple token dot. So I want to make a string extension, I'm realizing. Now this might be crazy. So let's go to string extensions and say find tokens. I want to get a list of strings out of this, and I'm going to say find tokens. This string, and I'm just going to say source for now. So the idea here is that I want to extract all of the tokens out of this. I'm not sure whether I want to regex this or not. So I can just regex this for now. Yeah, that's right, Magnus. You don't even have permission to run it, so good luck. Were you not here yesterday, Magnus? Maybe you weren't here. We locked that down. We added permissions. We just did role-based permissions for now, so we didn't do... we're probably going to put in something more advanced for now, but we did role-based permissions on that command. Okay, so something I want to explain here, because I'm doing something a little weird, is I'm making a... I'm making this regular expression that I'm using a static member here, and the reason why is that I don't want this to be part of the method itself, because regular expressions actually take a little while to build, and so if you are going to run a regular expression with any kind of frequency, which I don't think we are here, but just as a safety, because regular expressions can be a little resource intensive, I don't like having them in line unless I know it's only getting run like once. So if someone were going through a lot of data, say our chat gets really active, I'm not going to want to be constantly running this. So if this were used on some big 100,000 person stream, then it would basically just fall apart. So I'm going to avoid that. So let's just go ahead and say regex dot let's get matches. So we're going to go ahead and search our string for all the matches. Yep, that is correct, Janiscu. Only the moderator and the broadcaster are allowed to actually run that. So, just as an example... Actually, I don't know what happens if the bot does its own command. Look, the bot can tell itself to do stuff. A little weird, but why not? Matches dot... Really? Am I crazy, guys? Maybe I'm going crazy. Alright, well, I'm gonna do this then. And if my development tools here don't fix this for me, I am going to be one unhappy developer right here. Because I cannot believe that I couldn't do a link on that. Value... Yeah, I could yield return, but then I can't. Then I'd be an IEnumerable instead of a list, which I can do. It doesn't really matter. It's basically the same. If you guys really like that one, I can change to it. This wants to do something more than just read only this thing? Oh, now it wants to rename it to Regex. Alright, that's fine. I'm going to rename it anyway, so... our Regex is going to be... hilariously, that, I think, is what we have to do. I think. We're definitely going to need to test this one. And then in here needs to be word tokens. So, what are they? They're, you know what? This is just getting way too ugly. I can't deal with this. There we go. It's just too many slashes, guys. That's just too many slashes. I'm not sure how to handle that. Okay. I think that's the regex we need now. So that name is terrible. Finding regex. So that's our token finding regex, because clearly regex was a terrible name for a regex. And yeah, if you'd like, I can switch this to a yield return. So change it here. So I could just do a yield return if you guys like. I think value is what we want. This just has to change to an IEnumerable then. And then no longer need that. Now we're in that. Do I technically need that? I don't think I need that. We'd only need that if we were going to be somewhere else. So, okay, so that should be fine. We do a yield return match value based on the token finding regex. And yes, this is going to need some tests, obviously. That's funny. I didn't make a folder for string extensions. Well, I won't worry about it for now. Maybe I'll make this the string extensions folder. This is find tokens. Now the reason I'm doing find tokens is I want to look through the string and grab what the tokens are, rather than attempting to apply every token to this thing. Now, alternately, what I could do is I could grab every token I have and just look at the string to see, does it have this token, and then just do it. Matches dot of type to grab a list. Interesting. You're saying I can do matches of type. Huh. Well, that's a nice way to do that. oh, match would be the list. Yeah. Matches of type match, and then do a select to get the matches value as a string, like this. Yeah. I think if I'm going to do this, though, I'm going to pull out a couple of extra variables so people don't shoot me. Just so it's a little easier to read. Because some developer somewhere is going to probably be angry that I did it that way. That's going to be an enumerable. We'll probably check it. We're probably only going to check it once, so we'll return it as enumerable. If they need it, if they need a list, they can to-list it. Okay. Either way, let's jump back over here. So we're going to make this another fact, and as usual, we're going to make test 1 because we have no idea what we're actually testing. So I'm going to say, what did we call it? Find tokens. And we're thinking that a good first test would be if there are no tokens, it finds no tokens. So this might actually not be a fact, this might be a theory, but we'll see. So we're going to say assert, actually, we're going to say empty. Assert empty on tokens. And did empty take an enumerable? Yeah, okay, assert empty on an enumerable. Writing code only you understand makes your job safer. Yeah. Oh, man. DevXer, you're brilliant. I just need to make super complicated code. What was I thinking? Okay. So we want that to be empty, given that. So don't blow up given empty. Let's see. I actually don't know if this is going to work. Whoops. I left that in here. Alright guys, we're going to not implement that exception this for now, while I build the piece that's going to go here. Don't laugh. If you make your own language, it's even better, and provide zero documentation to it. That's a good idea. I have worked with plenty of organizations that have had to deal with code that no one except one person had any idea how it worked. Tends to suck. I recommend in those cases that you keep that person around and hire additional devs to learn the system from them. Okay, so find token tests. Oops, I made that a class. Whoops. Oh yeah, this is find tokens should. What was I thinking? Streaming brain. You forget things. Return empty collection given no tokens. Theory, and then inline data. This will be string. We'll call it given. Given. Find tokens. Tokens. Okay, so our first one. What happens if we call it on an empty string? This has no tokens. Alright, so what are you guys talking about? Zero documentation seems like it's almost a standard today, or at least poorly written docs. Yeah, so zero documentation's kind of standard within lots of organizations that don't have dev teams that expect someone else to maintain the code at some point. So at least a README or something like that is useful. Let's see, Greendorf, I'm working on rebuilding a system that was written by one person in MSX. Oh man, Greendorf, you are having fun, it sounds like. Yeah, you probably have to dig in there. Hello, VFRZ, which I could pronounce as Verfers. Yeah, that's impressive, Greendorf. I have also had to maintain some systems. One I wrote when I was in college, I happen to know is still in use, and that scares me. I was working on an old system that someone else had written. So, kind of stuff happens. You can't really get around it. Someone is going to want to keep it around. Okay, so that appears like it appears to still work. So let's go ahead and add in a test that actually checks something real. So let's say return only token given one token. Okay. It can be anywhere. So I'll show you what I'm thinking for this one. The test I want to make sure is that it works anywhere in the string. So, but I want to do single item for this. And sorry guys, you don't get to see anything I'm working on because the stupid little thing is covering it up. Okay, I will give you the answer on that, Magnus. So a lot of people here probably use NUnit, as that's the common thing in C#. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown on how XUnit works. So the reason, well, I guess I'll give you the first reason, which is why I'm using XUnit to begin with. So XUnit is very similar to NUnit. It's pretty much the same thing. A lot of people actually used XUnit even in the days of the .NET framework. But now that we have .NET Core, XUnit is sort of taking a little bit of a lead. So the reason that it is taking a lead here is that the team that was creating .NET Core used XUnit. And actually it's really, really baked in to our options here. So let me show you what I mean. If I go and I do add a new project, I'm not actually going to create one here, but you're going to notice something interesting. If I come down here to .NET Core, you'll see that I have two template options. I can either choose unit test project, which is going to give me the MS test set of tests, or I can choose an XUnit project, which is automatically going to set up XUnit. So you'll notice they included this one right out the gate. So we don't have the option of just getting an NUnit one. So that's why XUnit is very likely to become within, as .NET Core picks up over time, XUnit is probably going to be the primary one, so expect for it to switch. So if you were NUnit, you were probably used to seeing this being a test fixture, or if you, test fixture, or if you are used to MS Test, you are used to this being a test class. We don't need those in XUnit. It can find them. Actually, I don't even think you need it in NUnit, but people did it as a standard. And then theory, in this case, would be the same thing as saying test in NUnit, or saying test method from MS Test. But that's not the only thing here. So theory is slightly different, because you'll notice that I originally, in my previous test, called it a fact. So the difference between a fact and a theory is that the theory is the one that's going to have this external data. So like my inline data that I'm specifying here, that's what the big difference is between a theory and a fact in XUnit. Although I say that and I'm not super into the details of XUnit. I've never actually gone and looked at the source code, although it should be available, being an open source project. But that's what lets us get this. And there are other types of data, not just inline data, that we can have access to, but these are just simple string values that we can pass in. So essentially, each one of these is going to go into here. Anyway, I don't want this to be in here. I want assert not empty, so a lot of people tell you in testing, don't do more than one assert. Now, my rule on this one is don't test more than one thing. Now, the reason I make the distinction is that sometimes I can do more than one assert to get more specific about what the result was. So, for example, if I just wanted to test that I had the item, for the first one there, the token it, I could just check and make sure that I had it in the list. Now, I could also do a single it or something like that, but really I like the idea that my asserts can get more specific, and I can bomb out and be like, whoop, there was the wrong number, there was the wrong this, and I can get messages that are more leading to me.
What a lovely day!
Hey, welcome AT Newton, or at Newton. Not sure what you say there, but thank you for following. So what I want to do here now is put in the expected value as well, because I do think we want to actually test for that. So let's actually look for the relevant token. So in the first one, we're going to be looking for it, gan, b, and then anywhere. So those are our set of strings that we are expecting. Expected token. So in this case, since we know there's only one token that's going to come back, we're going to look for that one. So we're going to assert single on that collection. And that's funny, it's complaining because we did an enumerable and I am enumerating it multiple times, so we'll just to-list this thing. Funny enough, because notice that my squiggly lines actually went away when I to-listed this, despite the fact that the type enumerable didn't change, but now the compiler knows that it's not a problem, so it doesn't care anymore. But since I've to-listed on the line, I'm just going to var that thing for now. And then assert dot equal. And then I am going to say tokens single. And I am going to say expected token. So I've asserted that it's not empty, so if we get an empty collection, I want to blow up because of that. If there is more than one item, I want to blow up because of that. And then if that one item is not the correct one, I'd like to blow up for that. Now obviously I could test this with just the last assert, but then what I'm going to get is a thrown exception on my single call, which doesn't seem as clear. Yes, Malachi, the compiler is actually very smart, especially in C#, and the really neat thing is not just that the compiler knew that, it's that Visual Studio knew that, because it figured that out. Now, I don't know what was getting that squiggly line, whether it was just, you know, the static analysis that's running, or what it was that got that. It could be that it's behind the scenes running Roslyn on it and finding out, hey, by the way, that's broken, you know, like it could be using Roslyn to get its warnings. I'm not sure what that squiggly line came from, but very smart. I love it when our tools are smarter than we are about this stuff. Anyway, let's go ahead and run this, see what happens. So this will tell us if our tokening is working right. Hey! Yep, okay, cool. Should be not empty, and it's not empty. So given find tokens anywhere, run that. So cool. Won't you cover both empty and non-single collections with just the second assert? Yes, actually, I will. That's what I was actually saying, is that I don't actually even need either of these, and it'll work. But yeah, you're right. The single would definitely cover not empty in a nice way. So you're right, I can definitely get rid of that one. But I can technically also get rid of this one, and it still works too. But yeah, that is a very good point, so thank you for the suggestion. That will definitely make it nicer. Now let's take a look at what is actually going on in here, because we did not run this yet, so let's take a look. So, and I apologize about my cough. I'm got a little bit of a cold, but no reason not to write code. I'm not going to get anybody sick over the internet. The microphone does not actually pick up any germs. So we're going to pass in that string. We're going to look for that, and it's I'm assuming, yep, finds no matches. What was our actual string? So the problem is I'm trying to avoid the square braces on that, because square braces in a regex are not something that we want to do. So, do I only need to escape the first one? It's a good question. Anybody know the answer to that one? Do I need to escape the second one? We'll find out. Regex fun. Here goes. Okay. What was the string it was doing? Let's take a look. // Alright, we're going to jump this out over to .NET Regex Tester. Congratulations, Regex Storm, you get to be on here. We're going to make sure this works. Okay, now I'm going to go grab one of my test cases from right here. It should work just fine. So now the problem is that that parameter is one of those. So how do I look for square braces then? Oh, right, it was this \w plus and then close the parens, and then do I need the square brace? No, that's correct. I just forgot that piece on there. See? I was just insane. It's fine, everybody. It's fine. There we go. And actually, I don't technically need the parens. I just put them in there thinking we might want to grab the group out of the middle to get what the actual word was in the token. But I'll leave it out for now because I don't think I need it. So let's go ahead and I'm going to run this really quickly without debugging. And if it doesn't work, then I'll debug in. But it should be a little faster to run it without debugging. Okay, so now they all pass. Yep, there was our only thing. I figured if we just pulled up a live tester, it's a much faster way to find out what you're actually matching against. So if you ever are running regular expressions, I highly, highly recommend that you pull up a tool like that and just start typing. It'll be way easier. Okay, so now I want to do a quick test that can get us back multiple tokens. So let's do return multiple tokens given multi-token message. I am not going to list all the expected tokens. That seems crazy. So what I am going to do is just close those off, and actually I'm going to make an entirely different message, and I probably don't need as much inline data. So I'm just going to do 2. So this message contains 2 tokens. Two tokens. I'm going to see what happens when I include the dot in this, because I don't think I did in my previous one, so I don't actually know whether a dot can be in there or not. I'm not super restricted in that regex yet, so if we put in a bad token, I'm not really going to worry too much about it, but we'll see. You know what? I'm actually just going to make this string be in here for now. I am not going to have that be a separate thing. We'll call it given. So we're going to change from a theory to a fact here. Get rid of the parameter. We have given. This message contains 2. Assert that the tokens are equal to, that is the...
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Hey, welcome, Lechukor. Which, maybe I mispronounced. If I did, sorry about that. Alright, we're just going to put in our list here. So I'm actually going to to-array this. Because I want to do a little cheater array and have it implicitly get the type out of this and do a comparison, which I think it's going to let me do. But we'll find out if it does or not. So that's the actual list. The first one's the expected list. And we want this to include message. And I like that it highlights now. Isn't that nice? How it's, see how it's highlighting the other string? So the 2 instances of that word. So I know I didn't type it. So... And Lion stole my bike there with the hello world is, I should mention... Hey, welcome G Feder, thank you for following. I should mention, based on what Lion just said, that so if we do ever get to partner status, which I mean could be like months off, years off, I don't actually know. Oh yeah, the oh what a day, isn't that great? Yeah, sorry if that's too loud, guys. I can turn it down a little bit. But the I don't know about you guys, but I love that scene in that movie. Yeah, so hello world. So right now we have a couple of Twitch emotes that are being approved by Twitch at the moment, so we don't actually have access to them yet, because they are taking a while to get those approved because they are getting so many affiliates set up right now. But our first one is a hype emote, and we're also going to have a fail and a derp, so you guys can make fun of me when I mess stuff up. And I don't mean if I mess stuff up, I mean when I mess stuff up. Because as a developer, I can tell you I'm going to make mistakes all the time, as that's basically what we do. So that is from Fury Road. The Mad Max movie that came out, yeah, the What a Lovely Day. So I just restarted the bot, which you guys noticed because he said hello when he got here. Yep, Mad Max Fury Road, so it's a good one. I slightly lowered the volume, but yeah, that's the welcome, you know, what a lovely day, yeah, because it's great. You know, we got followers, we like followers. Okay, so message contains 2 tokens. We expect that one to run. It hasn't been run yet. We're going to go ahead and run it now. Okay, cool. So looks like we're successfully able to pull tokens out of this, which is exactly what we want. So cool, it works. Let's take a look. How many changes do we have at the moment? Not bad. We are almost done with this change, so those pieces seem to work. I happen to know that we are not rebuilding the regex each time because we set it up nicely. So this is where we commented out this code because this is the piece that we were changing to use our tokening. So we're going to say text-to-send dot find tokens, and I love that now Visual Studio will actually do. It absolutely does, Greendolf. we got this nice relaxing music, and then that just chimes in. I can actually lower the volume of that a little bit if I do this, which is raise the volume of the music, and then lower the volume that we send that out on. There we go. I think I got that adjusted nicely. Let me know if the music is too loud or too quiet now. I did a little bit of a tweak to it. It's always hard to figure out how much you actually want to have in there. So that is our tokens, and then what I want to do is replace tokens. So we are going to say text to send, and then the found I called it find token. This is the found tokens, which I will get in a second. And then this is text to send equals replace tokens, which is going to be a new method that we're going to create really quickly, just because it makes more sense to have a nice method for it. And then we are going to say simple token dot I made one mistake here, guys. Static. Whoops. So we're going to do all, and then we are going to say, you know, I just realized that is totally able to be messed with. But anyway, I won't worry about it. We'll fix that later. So simple token list all, and then where I kind of feel like I should put this logic inside of there instead of a list all, maybe a find by token. Actually, I think this should just be tokens. So we'll say tokens dot contains our replacement token. So then we'll say for each simple token, simple token, simple token. And we'll say text to send equals so I'm going to get a new string only because I'm going to alter it a couple of times, which is not the most efficient way to do it. So were this needing to be performant, this would be the wrong way. Simple token dot replace command values on the new text, and our event args, which we have up there, I am going to set to null, pass in as a parameter. We'll call them event args. Why is it? Oh, because it didn't get the type. Because I made it null, so it didn't know what it was, but it could have found it because it knew what the type was that was required in there. Come on, man. Where were you on the help there, refactoring tools? Alright, so this null here can now be event args. And then text to send, we did this separately, so now it is good. And actually, since we were doing that, I'm no longer going to assign it to that variable. I am going to inline this here. Get rid of that, because that value is now immediately replaced, and we can do that. So we're going to find it based on those values, grab text to send, return it, and that should be nice. So this is not the nicest code, so I will probably add an issue for someone to clean this up at some point. And very likely that's going to be me cleaning it up, but hey, it should still work. So, I forget if we have a test on that. I don't think we do, though. That is the simple command. Public virtual. To be honest, I'm not sure we have that one. Triggering client, that no. Which we should. So I will probably do that. But first, I'm going to rerun the bot because it can tell me pretty quickly if this is going to work. And yes, there is a nice to have issue on our GitHub. So the bot's back in here. It could assume the type based on a method call, but I think they designed it in such a way in case you meant to call another method. Yeah, it could be Magnus. It's a tough one there. It's hard to say what whether that is the way you want it to go or not. Okay, so taking a look at this, we want to test which one of these do we want to test? So we can do an easy one first, so I'll do coins first just to confirm that the bot is working at all. It is. And the next thing that I want to test is lurk. Dev chatter is just lurking here. Hey, see, it pulled my name. That's cool. That's cool. So it did the replacement of username. So someone else try exclamation point lurk. Say hey, cool. Yeah, so we can only pass in one word there as our argument, but that's pretty cool. So that's awesome. Good job, guys. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's very good, Magnus. It is treated as a string, but yes, that's nice of you to check and make sure I don't have any security flaws there. I'm sure you're just checking for my safety, not because you wanted to send horrible things through there. But I'm actually going to turn that one off for now because I do want to get rid of say because I don't want my bot going around saying horrible things. Sorry, Malachi, try it again. I just wanted to restart it without the say. Yeah. I don't want you guys to have my bot saying like racial slurs and other things like that because I have a feeling it might get the message quick enough and. Yeah. Don't want the bot getting banned. That would not be good. Okay. But I do expect we want to be able to pull those values, but it looks like that's working. So I'm going to commit first, and then we can add a couple of tests to that. And yeah. I think that seems like a good approach. So this is creating simple tokens. So this is use simple tokens for replacement. Maybe it's just use simple tokens. That's what I'm going to call that for now. We're going to commit that on there, and we're going to push these up to GitHub. There you go, Malachi. Now you get to lurk again. So what do you guys think of the bot so far? Good set of commands. I want to get some game type stuff in here at some point. We're going to have to figure out how we want to do that, but we've successfully switched to tokens. Now I didn't mention it, but while we're doing this, I'm going to explain what I want to do. Yeah. Thanks, A.T. Newton. That's perfect. Yep, we're just going to drop table students. Luckily, there's no students table. Okay. So the thing I wanted to test was simple command. Oh, actually, we have this simple command, and we're going to call process on it. I don't think I tested it. No, I didn't. Yeah, I kind of failed there. Alright, so core and then commands. Simple token tests. We want a folder for commands, and then a folder for simple command tests. In here, we're going to make a class called process should. Okay. So public void test1 helps if you add parens. That's a pro tip from a master developer right there. Helps if your methods have parentheses on them. Okay, so we are saying we want to do a new simple command, and so simple command process, and we're going to send in the chat client. For now, instead of adding a mock framework, I'm just going to put in a fake chat client. But I will want to add in a mocking framework eventually. I just don't want to do it right this second. And a new event args. It does not if you're a Python. Yeah, that's true, Magnus. That is true. I did actually used to do a lot of Python development. It's a good language. I actually used to teach it at a university to the students there. Actually, I am going to throw a not implemented exception on that, because why not? This is, we're going to store that, yeah, we'll store it on a field, current member, send message equals message done. Okay, that might be enough to make this testable. We'll find out. I'll move it into the right place in a second. But that's just a quick little fake that we can do there. And now all we have to do is... I actually don't know what this is going to do, to be honest. Assert equal, what message are we looking for? I don't even know, to be honest. Fake chat client, sent message. Okay. This is going to break somewhere, but let's find out. At least I hope it's going to break. Good. Value cannot be null on the input, so we can't send in an empty command. That's funny. So good job, Magnus. You'll figure one of those out. Static response. I have to set the static response. Okay, so I actually had to set this thing up. I couldn't get away with not filling in any of the data. But I don't think I need to put it all in here. So we're going to leave the command text as null. Our static response is going to be hello. And we don't need any of the other stuff. So command hello, which I think now means we're going to be looking for the word hello to be sent, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, there we go. So should send static message given no tokens in message. And then the next one is should send maybe I'll say hydrated message. Hydrated. That makes sense to you guys? Because we've done the replacement. Given tokens in message. Hello from, let's say, says hello. So user display name says hello. And that means that I'm going to need to pass in a user display name. So I'm going to extract this as a variable, because it's a little nicer if I do that. Chat user display name equals Brendan. That's me, by the way, in case you guys didn't guess. I know. That's funny. I guess that isn't too bad. So we're saying Brendan says hello. Is what we're expecting to get back. Let's go ahead and run that. Cool. So I think these work. So assuming these both run here, it looks to me like we managed to get our test working. So I'm going to call that a simple completed feature. Adding command processing tests. We could add more tests to that, but we're running down on time and we want to get that in there. So now that we've got that up there, we can go create a pull request for it. So let's go take a look at that. So this should be pushed up. So we want to send token replacements into master. And what did we do for this? We removed the selector out of that. We made some changes there. We got rid of selector from our simple commands. It no longer needs them. We changed it out so that it does this token replacement, which is not the best token replacement we could have written, but it's a start, and we can easily refactor from there and improve it. We added in a couple of those to prevent null reference exceptions. We added an extension method to find tokens off of our strings. We created the simple token replacement class that gets us our sets of tokens. We updated our fake data to no longer grab display name using this func. Yes, I am Brendan Pluralsight. I must have sent it in with the wrong thing. Yes, I am on Pluralsight. I'm an author there. I have a couple of courses, AT Newton. I also do courses at deviq.com. So there's a couple of places that you could have seen some of my online courses. Let's see, so our fake chat client still lives with the test, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. It basically is tied to it. Find token should, those are fine, nothing looks weird about those tests. They all have names, they all look like they're doing things, nothing have crazy amounts of asserts. So let's go ahead and commit these. Yeah, it's actually been quite a few years since I've done any Pluralsight courses, AT Newton. I used to work with them back in the day. Okay, so I'm going to call this adding replacement tokens, and this will resolve. I want to find out what issue number that was, number 12. Oh, right, I forgot they did that completion there. So create pull requests, and I'll go ahead and put that in. And now someone could review that. I'm likely going to be the one to review it, but I'm going to leave it there for now. So that is pretty much where we're going to end today, as it's been a couple of hours since the stream started. I do want to go through a couple of things. Actually, I will go ahead and complete this. I am actually just going to merge this in. And because I am actually wondering if that, I think it's going to resolve that one, but I want to confirm that. Well, that was weird, guys. Way to freak me out with that, displaying strange stuff. And 12 got closed, so good. So exactly as expected, that issue got closed when I committed that. So perfect. Everything wired up nicely. And we only have one branch now, so that's good. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to wrap here. The things I wanted to go through. I wanted to first off thank you guys all for being here and talking in chat, showing up even if you didn't talk in chat and you were just watching along. I also want to thank you, and I especially want to thank anybody that followed, and I also want to thank our subscribers. I am going to again mention to you guys that emotes are coming, so subscribers get access to use those emotes on Twitch, and they will be there as soon as Twitch approves them for us. We've had them done for a while, but we've been waiting for it. Other people I wanted to thank, C# Fritz, who is hosting us today. So we probably have some viewers coming in from there. And then I know we also are posted in a few other places, so thanks anybody that is promoting the channel. It really does help. Makes this more fun for all of us because we're able to talk when there are more people in here. There is a Discord, which I am going to let the bot tell you about. So if you are interested in continuing discussions outside of the stream, go ahead and join our Discord. Discord is a chat service that is commonly used among gamers, and so that is part of why the Twitch community tends to use Discord a lot. Hey, no problem, AT Newton. Hopefully we'll catch the next one. And if you guys do want to catch the next stream, take a look down below if you're on the Twitch website. There is a panel down there that will display the times that our next streams are. I'm actually going to adjust it. We won't have the Saturday one this week, I don't think. I expect I will be out of town for that one, but we'll see. But I will be updating that. The nice thing about that panel down below is it will convert the times into your time zone, so if you're not in mine, you won't have to figure it out. It should just display in yours, based on wherever you are on the interwebs. The other things that I want to mention is, so I mentioned Discord. If you are interested in contributing, you can go to our GitHub and take a look there. We have a couple of projects that we've worked on, and any of the code that we work on stream, I'm going to try to get up on the GitHub. AT Newton, I tend to stream for about 2 hours, but I have done a stream that lasted 4 hours before. So it just depends, and if I do a special one where I want to work on something more significant, it'll run a little bit longer than that. And I am lining up a couple of guests, so we have a few people that are going to hop on. One person I'm going to try to bring in just to do some general pairing with. Another person I want to bring in to help us build some of our UI, as we expect to add a UI to this. So we'll be getting guests on here, and that'll be nice and fun. So that's our GitHub. I linked our Discord. Other things that I want to mention, if let's see, we got those. So I thanked all the people that were here. I thanked that. Mentioned that. So yeah, if you do want to help out on the GitHub, take a look at the issues list. There are some of the items that we want to work on listed there, so you can grab one of those and just do one. Comment in there if you're going to do something on the GitHub. And then also the pull request, you can send us one. If we did something stupid, just go ahead and send us a pull request or write an issue. You are all welcome to contribute on there. If you have questions, you can always hit me up here. I have a Twitter and other things, which again you can find links down below to any of that stuff. Magnus, I will get you some articles that talk about the idea of using objects instead of enums. There are some interesting ones out there. Yeah, so coming up soon, we're also going to connect our bot to Discord, so it will not just be connected to the Twitch chat. We want to connect it there as well. And the other interesting thing that I want to do, we did this token, the simple token replacement, but the next thing I want to do is make our token replacement be able to use for the cases where we are making a call out to an API. So that's actually what our follower command does right now, the one that uses the list of follows, which is actually why I need to adjust the name of that. And that's for our shout out command right now that chooses a random other person to shout out. So it does this, so I went ahead and tested that in chat. The other thing that I'd like to wire up for it to do is to tell us what they streamed recently. Maybe the name of their most recent stream would be an interesting one. But that would be a fun thing to wire up to our shoutout command, to be able to have it tell you something about the person that you did a shoutout for. And yeah, so thank you everybody. We've been listening to Relax Daily .net music, which is a nice website that has relaxing music. Obviously, sometimes that gets accentuated when we celebrate how nice a day it is because someone followed. So anyway, have a great one, everyone. Enjoy your Tuesday, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are. So happy coding.